I know like most of you guys would have got good experience or good exposure to the Selenium automation and the framework. Okay. So now who have not do not know about anything about the Selenium, like or a framework, how actually framework look. So very high level understanding. Today I'm going to share as part of this session. Okay. So yeah, moving to the first slide and like first understand like what is Selenium. So Selenium is an open source tool which is used to automate web based applications, and it supports all major operating systems. So how we are going to automate to the web applications, like we have this various scripts or languages using those like Python, Java, or Ruby, or anything like with the various programs, and we are going to, test the web browsers. Okay, so when we talk about Selenium, it is not just Selenium. We have set of components. This is a Selenium suite. Like we have this IDE, RC, WebDriver, and Grid. So initially they started with IDE because they wanted to implement it only for the web application. So with the IDE, there are some limitations, and then they need to go to RC. Similarly, there are some limitations for RC. Then they brought up this WebDriver. So that's how like they started implementing the advanced versions of the tools, each tool. First, understand like what is IDE. So it is very simple thing to use IDE. Like first of all, it is an open source. This is like record and playback test automation for the web. Like we have this plugins or add-ons or extensions for the browsers using which you can just start the recording and you perform the actions on the application of the browser, and you stop the recording, so it gets saved and the script is automatically generated. So you do not need any basic coding knowledge as well. It's just that it internally uses Selenium commands, and it generates the scripts. So, but then there are some limitations, as I mentioned, there are some complications. We cannot connect to the database, and extensive data testing cannot be performed with this. And dynamic, when application is dynamic, these kind of things. And there are a lot of other reasons where there are some drawbacks for this, and then we came up with the Selenium remote control. The another component is Selenium RC. So RC is complicated because it uses an intermediate RC server to communicate with the browser. So like we have the scripts, Selenium command. So in between there is a server, which is an external proxy server through which we'll connect to the browser and execute the results. So with this also there is a drawback that we need to have this RC server, and this is there is a performance issue is coming in, and there are other drawbacks as well. And then like the another component we came up with is Selenium WebDriver. And now there is no Selenium RC. We have no Selenium RC we are maintaining. We only have the Selenium WebDriver. Okay. So Selenium WebDriver performs faster than Selenium RC because it directly interacts with the browser without using any external server, proxy server. Okay. So if somebody is saying they're using Selenium means, so out of these 4 components, 90% they mean it is Selenium WebDriver. Okay. And let's understand briefly like how it is exactly working Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so let's see. This is our code or script. This is the WebDriver. This is the browser application. So the Selenium WebDriver here acts as an interface or an API. Okay, where it has browser specific classes or functions, everything related to the browser methods. Okay. So with this, it interacts with the browser application. So it performs the tests on the browser application. So so we can call it as an API. We can call it as a package or a module with respect to with one particular language. and it has collection of classes. Okay, so and then we have the last component, which is Selenium grid. So when we wanted to execute on multiple devices parallelly or different operating systems, so here is where, with the help of grid, we can execute our scripts like this. Considering this is our hub, and see, simultaneously, I mean parallelly, we can execute this configuration also can be done when there is a need to perform, and irrespective of the device type. Okay, but now majorly we are in this I mean demo, I prefer Selenium WebDriver. And going to the basic setup. Okay, so first you need to select the language, you need to select the IDE. These are the two basic things, but here I am going to choose the language Python, and IDE which is suitable for Python. The first preference is PyCharm, and Selenium, as I mentioned, WebDriver I'm going to use. Okay, so you need to download and install the Python, and PyCharm Community Edition version you need to download, and also Selenium. If you see, you can import. There are some import statements. Okay, you can using those import statements you can install a Selenium WebDriver, or you can, there are pip command from the PyCharm terminal or console. You can just install it. There are certain commands which you can install package. It's very easy process to do this setup when you select the language Python. Okay, so are we good, team? So far I think
Yes, Bhargavi.
okay, fine. So I chose a Python here. So first understand this about the Python, basic understanding of the Python. So it is a high level general purpose programming language, which means it is very friendly. Basically, almost all the applications can be developed with Python, and it is an open source language, and it is platform independent like Java, which means program written in one platform can be run in other platforms. Okay, let's see, if you see here, just a with single statement, okay, print hello. This is the Python program, okay. It is such user friendly. The output will be hello world. You don't have to define inside a class or inside a method for the Python, okay. Just compare it with the C. In the C, you have to use this include, hash include, and it has to be in some method. And if you see in C++, there are some set of lines, and if you see Java, it has to be definitely inside a class and inside a method, main method. Okay. So just showing the difference, like Python is very easy. And like for automation purpose, what are the concepts we should learn for Selenium? Okay, automation purpose. So these are the types, like we should know to start with our automations, like variables, data types, concatenation, formatting output, control statements, conditional statements, jumping statements means break and continue, range function, numbers and strings, collections, list, tuple, set, dictionary, and functions, methods, classes and objects, constructors, polymorphism, inheritance, modules and packages, exception handling, and file handling. If we know, if we are good with all these concepts, we are in a good shape to start with the automation, or at least like we can say we are a good automation tester. Okay, there are also other things like pandas, data frames, we can also we include those, but these are the basics which we should know before we start with the automation from this Python language. Okay, and moving on to the Selenium WebDriver, as I told, there are WebDriver commands. And using these WebDriver commands, we are going to interact with the web application. Okay. So I just listed out as per my experience, which are mostly used ones. I just listed out here. Like if you see application commands, get method, title, current URL page. So likewise, conditional commands we have, browser commands, navigational commands, wait commands. For if you have the select tag, right, select drop down, how we should approach, and alerts or pop-ups, which you generally see on the web page. Okay, so what kind of actions class we need to use, or what are the methods, and when we have frames in the application, how to switch to frame using id, web element, index. Okay, so you should definitely learn all these commands uh, to start with automation. And if you see, there are like parent frame, like browser windows, you will have to deal with multiple windows times. So you should know to use which method. And mouse operations, to deal with mouse operations, you need to import a certain module or chain or classes, and you need to know how it is. And when you have sliders and keyboard actions, if you want keyboard actions to be performed, then yeah, these I have listed on a very high level. And there are many more, like if you want to scroll, use the scroll down to the page, horizontal scroll, or like there are so many commands which you should learn it. Okay, so now we are good with the Python concepts, and now we know like what are the minimum commands we should learn. Okay, so let's go to the framework now. So this is the test framework. Okay, so assume that this is browser config is one directory or as a file. Assume these are all each browser config, app config, common methods, page objects, test cases, reports. Okay, till test cases, assume that it is a directory or it will contain files part of it. Okay, so if you see browser config, right, opening the which type of browser we need to select. So browser specific functions are defined inside this browser config file. Okay. So app config. So application related URLs, application related usernames and encrypted passwords, anything related to the application, we will save in the app config. And common methods. If you have any common methods which can be used in a different files, so those methods we will save in will have in the common methods. Similarly, page objects. Page objects is nothing but exact logic of the particular page. For example, home page is there. The actual logic is defined inside the functions. So, okay, locators and the functions of that particular class are defined inside the page objects. And finally, coming to the test cases. In the test cases is where, like, if you see this diagram, you call from the browser config, you're invoking the browser. From the app config, you're just opening the URL and passing the credentials. And common methods, if there are any common methods, you're calling it from there. And page objects, here is the actual functionality of the application you are invoking and you run it. Okay, so reusability is happening here. Okay, and then after the run, reports get generated. And even for the reports, there are some third-party tools we need to integrate. But when it comes to Python, we are going to use PyTest. Like how we imported Selenium or Selenium WebDriver package, PyTest also using pip command, we can import it. Okay, so PyTest generates the reports. Or if you want it customized reports, we need to work based on that to generate the customized reports. So this is like a basic framework. Uh, so can I move to other slide, team?
Yes, Bhargavi.
Sure.
Okay, fine. Okay, and then like till here. So till here, this is all what we did is all in local setup in our normal laptop system. Okay. Now we wanted to have our code in the Git repo, and it should be accessible for the other developers or other testers. Okay. In that scenario, like a repository we need, which is a remote one. So we prefer Git. Okay. So Git is a DevOps tool. It is used for source code management. Okay. Um, like you have some set of code, I have some set of code, others have some set of code. With the Git, it is possible to manage the code by creating the branches, okay, your local branches, and pushing that and committing that particular branch to the DevOps tool, which means it is configured with DevOps tool. And all these things you can do it. You don't have to save every single thing in your local system. Okay, this is a remote thing, so it is accessible anywhere to the any developer. You should configure it with your PyCharm. Okay. So there is a regular communication between the developers. Any changes made to the source code can be tracked by others. Every developer here means we are also tester. Okay. Basically, if you see all our developers using Git. Okay. So now, like when it is integrated with, so I'll give an example for this Git. How in general we are going to use it. Okay. See. I have my local scripts ready now, and it is also integrated with Git version. Okay. Now I create a local branch. I name it as test underscore repo local, and we already have a main repo already existing. This main repo has all the code of application, testing code of the application. So for this main repo, I'm going to create a local branch, and after that I commit it and push it. Okay. When I push it, it is available now remotely. Okay. So now the local copy is accessible for all the developers or testers. Now, or and further, if you want to do create new scripts or update scripts from your local, so now you have your own branch created. Every time you just can pull the latest code from the Git and you can push the changes. So after that, to merge these changes with the main test repo or developer branch or feature branch, we need to raise a pull request. Okay, basically pull request is because we need to get approval before you merge this local branch changes to the main repo or develop or feature branch. So this is what exactly we do with Git. Okay. So now Azure DevOps build tool. This is CI/CD tool. We know this is a build tool, continuous integration, continuous development, continuous testing. So we have our scripts now available in this tool. First, with our branch, we should run it as a standalone pipeline. Okay, we can run our scripts using build tool remotely. So how are we navigating there? Like we have this pipeline options. We need to go to the pipelines, and there you need to select your main repo and you need to select your branch and you should run the pipeline. When you run the pipeline, the test cases should get passed. So, which means your individual branch pipeline got executed successfully. So, once it is done, then we are going to raise the pull request. We need to show them that these test cases are executed successfully as a standalone pipeline. Okay. And then like first we need to, as I showed, first we need to ensure standalone pipeline is successful. Now configuration done in such a way that whenever deployment happens in dev or QA or UAT environments, a smoke test run automatically happens. Okay. So now we have our code integrated, I mean, merged with the main repo, and now it is available. Whenever there is a build in dev build happens to the dev environment, the first step, so whenever CI/CD is done, immediately CT, continuous testing, a small high level smoke run is also done. When it is passed, this build will not be successful. Continuous testing, the smoke test or whatever test you sanity test should be successful. Only then build will be successful. Similarly, you can configure for the various environments, dev, QA or UAT environments. So this is like an end-to-end basically team. Like how I did not go into very deep, but this is on a very high level. And we are done. Uh, so, like any questions, team? Do we have any questions? Hello?
No,
Uh,
Bhargavi.
Bhargavi.
Okay, so are we good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I hope it's the same with everyone, team.
Yes, Bhargavi.
Okay. So that's it, team. If you want any continuous sessions and specifically related to Python or WebDriver, like we can plan accordingly.
Sure.
But
Sure, Bhargavi.
yeah. So can we wind up, team? If we are clear.
Yes, Bhargavi.
Okay. Thank you so much, team.